now a little about the relationship between Cape Verde and the United States and the foreign policy of the United States toward Cape Verde. So how do you describe the relationship between these two countries?
Well, as I mentioned, I think the relationship is an excellent relationship. It's been a long-term relationship based in large part on joint interests, common interests. And one of those common interests, of course, is family. And so there are lots of Cape Verdeans who live here, and the diaspora is a very important part of that relationship. I'm also hopeful that the diaspora will play an increasing role in the economic interests that we share. And so I will be extending or making outreach to Cape Verdeans living in the United States in the hope that they will participate in an increasing way in the relationship. But the relationship is based on several things. The three priorities that I mentioned, security is one of them. And security encompasses both maritime security, because Cape Verde has a unique situation with its location and with the types of activities that are taking place in the territorial waters, for example. So we are very interested, we the United States are very interested in collaborating with Cape Verdean authorities to do whatever we can to assist with regard to keeping Cape Verde's waters safe and to ensure that illegal activities are not taking place. Those illegal activities that would threaten the way of life in Cape Verde could include drug trafficking, could include trafficking in persons, could include illegal fishing. There are lots of activities that would be detrimental to Cape Verde. And because of the huge amount of territorial waters and the enormous exclusive economic zone of Cape Verde, it is a real challenge. And so to the extent that the United States is in a position to assist, we would like to do that. And we have been collaborating over the course of the last several years. Security is not just in the maritime area, however. Security also encompasses what takes place on land, and so we have been able to organize some training sessions with U.S. experts in different areas that are of interest to the Cape Verdean government. And so to the extent that we're in a position to bring experts, to have training courses take place, to bring Cape Verdean officials to the United States for training, we're very happy to do that and to collaborate to the extent that we can. I'd like to take a minute and talk about economics, because economics is another area where we have many shared interests. One of the primary areas, of course, is the Millennium Challenge Account. The Millennium Challenge is focused largely on economic issues. It is a program that invests a great deal. Some of that investment is in infrastructure, particularly transportation. As you know, the port expansion in Praia is already underway. There are roads being built, there are bridges being built, and not just on Santiago Island or in Praia, but in other areas as well. I was recently in Santo Antão and had the opportunity to visit two sites where bridges are being built and where a connecting road will be built. So the Millennium Challenge Compact is a very important part of our relationship. The African Development Foundation is another important part of our economic relationship. The African Development Foundation, or ADF as it's known, focuses primarily on small businesses. And up until recent years, the amount of investment that has been taking place has averaged around $500,000 or $600,000. And there's an opportunity for that amount to increase in the next fiscal year and beyond. I'm very excited about that because the people to whom assistance is given and loans are made, grants are given, are people who generally don't have access to credit from banks. And so if they want to establish a cooperative or they want to expand a small business, often they don't have any other alternative, and ADF provides them with that opportunity. So economics is a very important area. And then just to mention the third priority again, education. As you know, we have a very large contingent of Peace Corps volunteers in Cape Verde. And many of those Peace Corps volunteers, in fact most, are involved in education of one type or another. In some cases, Peace Corps volunteers are teaching English directly to students or to adults. In other cases, Peace Corps volunteers are teaching teachers who can then teach children or adults. In other cases, they're involved in information technology, and they are assisting municipalities, schools, businesses with information technology, but while they provide that assistance, they're also teaching so that the people that they're helping can learn how to do it themselves. Education is very, very important, and as I mentioned early on, education is a primary pillar on which democracy and civil society rests. So it's a very, very important area, and one in which, during my tenure, the U.S. Embassy will be engaged on and will be working with the Cape Verdean government on.
We'll visit that topic again,
Okay.
specifically talking about rules education, but going back to your economic agenda, and specifically the Millennium Challenge Account, you laid out a couple of projects that's been going on in Cape Verde. So, in general, how do you evaluate the execution of the Millennium Challenge Account in Cape Verde currently?
I think the Millennium Challenge Compact is being executed in a very positive and a very productive way. I think that it is on track. I think that there are many elements to it that are already completed, and the big push, the place where energy really is needed now, is to make sure that the port expansion project is finished within the deadline that we have. You know, it's the largest single project in the compact, and the compact, as you know, is a very large compact. $110 million is a lot of investment opportunity, and the port project is underway. There is only a 5-year limit on the compact, as you know, and there will need to be energy and interest that the project has now in order to make sure that it's finished in time. But it is an excellent project, and all of the projects under the compact are moving forward in an excellent way.
Okay. Now, seems vegan, according to the U.S. policies to promote those concepts in developing countries.
I think that Cape Verde, in many ways, is a model country with regard to democracy and freedom. There is a lot of transparency. There is essentially no corruption. There are freedoms that many other countries do not enjoy. There is freedom of the press. There is freedom of religion. All of the basic freedoms are respected. I think that this view of the United States is reflected in the various reports that we complete on an annual basis, and I know that the Human Rights Report, for example, is available online, and if any of the listeners in the audience have an interest in knowing more about the Human Rights Report, it is available as our previous editions. It's available through the State Department website at state.gov. There is a lot of information about the view that the U.S. government holds, but I think what is more important is what Cape Verdeans think about the situation in Cape Verde, and what the Cape Verdean diaspora in particular think about the situation in Cape Verde. And I think that most people, were you to ask that question of Cape Verdeans experience either here in the United States or in Portugal or in other places or in Cape Verde, I think that you would hear a positive reaction from them as well.
But, so, do you think that the grant will be renewed again, or will Cape Verde qualify again for another compact?
I think Cape Verde will be in an excellent position to be considered for a second compact in 2010. There are several indicators where Cape Verde has made significant progress. There are other indicators where additional progress is needed, and I know that the Cape Verdean government has a strategy for moving forward and raising the indicators to the necessary level. So I think that the answer is that in 2010, Cape Verde will qualify to be considered for a second compact.
And so far, from what you've seen, are they meeting the requirements?
Yes, I think there are many areas, as I said, where significant improvement has come the time when Cape Verde was considered for the current compact. And of course, having graduated from a lower income country to a lower middle income country, Cape Verde has to meet several higher standards, and I think that a lot of progress is being made, and I'm confident that by 2010 that Cape Verde will be in a position to compete for another compact.
Now, the assistance that that Cape Verde gets from the United States.
Well, as you know, one of the ways in which Cape Verde receives assistance is through remittances from family members who are located abroad in the United States and in other places. So I think the global financial crisis is having an impact on the amount of funds being remitted to Cape Verde, simply because people who find themselves in difficult economic circumstances may not be in a position to send remittances back to family members. I am very positive, however, with regard to investment. One of the things that is of great interest to the Cape Verdean government and to the Cape Verdean economy is direct private investment. There have been some recent private investments. I think you know about the fast ferry, and I think that's very important. I think you also know about the biosphere technology promoted by Cape Verdean American company here in the United States, who is looking at the possibility of a project in Cape Verde. There is also another recent development which I think is very, very positive, and that is the announcement by Delta that it is going to be having a daily flight to Sal Island. I think that provides a couple of opportunities. One is obviously in the tourism area, because that daily flight will enable passengers to go back and forth on a daily basis, but it also provides an opportunity for business people to have greater access to Cape Verde, and I think that's very important. So the types of private investments that are currently taking place hopefully will increase with the new opportunities for that increase in transportation.
Now, in terms of federal grants, do you think that they would be impacted as well, or no?
Well, as you know, we are going to have a new president in the United States on January 20th, and the new administration will, of course, be looking at its new directions and its new policies. We're going to all be waiting to see what those new directions and new policies are. I think President-elect Obama has indicated already that he has some very clear priorities, and one of them is to deal with the global financial crisis and the economic situation here in the United States, which is very important to the rest of the world as well, given the global nature of the world economy. So I think that within a very short period of time, we will have indications of what the new directions may be and what the new policies may be. As you know, one of the very first appointments that President-elect Obama will be making is a new Secretary of State, and that is very important to the relationship between the United States and Cape Verde and the United States relations with all other countries as well. But I think it's indicative of President-elect Obama's interest in the relationship that the United States has with other countries, including Cape Verde.
Now, when it comes to